There we go. Now we're live.
Sweet.
Yeah. What do you like to be called?
Well, Amber says nope.
Okay. Amber says nope. All right. So, and that's also the name of your channel too, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So cool. So if people want to go and check out your channel, that'd be good. I still got to go through and watch all your videos. I think I saw like one or two of them. It was really funny because it popped up on my feed,
hmm
and then like another one popped up. Did you like upload a bunch in one go?
So when I talked to you, you were just like, "Oh, do you have a channel?" I'm like, "Yes, but there isn't anything." Oh, that means I had. So I went and I filmed videos right then and there of like I had subjects that I wanted to film about, so I was able to get them done one after another, and I just popped them up right then and there. So now, now I'm uploading videos every once in a while. So
Okay, yeah, yeah, because I was like, I don't know, I was doing something and saw a pop up, and it was like another pop up, and another pop up, and I was like, who the hell is this?
yeah,
And I was like, wait, who did? When did I when did I subscribe to them? And then I was like, oh, okay, now I know who it is.
yeah.
Let me see. I'm naked. Give me a sec. Okay. I don't know if you ever met Comedic Witch or watched any of her videos.
No, I'm very new to
Okay.
exploring the pagan community. I've only been doing witchcraft for about like 6 months or so, and I've been researching it for about a year. So like,
Oh, okay.
I've
I wasn't too sure if maybe if you stumbled across her on YouTube.
yeah, no,
So.
I only discovered the world at 8 age teen, so I was like, okay.
Oh wow. Oh, okay. So you're really new to YouTube, huh?
Oh yeah, I'm really
Oh,
new to
okay.
everything. So yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, YouTube is a funny place. It's quite different than when I first joined. Um I mean, it seems like there's a pretty strong pagan community that I'm involved in here on YouTube,
Mhm.
but I noticed, like I said earlier, it's like pockets because there's also
Oh yeah,
another pocket of pagans, and then there's other little pockets. So it's interesting that there are other little pocket groups, and I'm wondering when I see some overlap with some people, and I'm
yeah.
wondering if it's gonna like at some point kind of like merge into a one larger community.
That would be ideal, but yeah, it'll probably take some time.
Yeah, and also I think there's everyone kind of aligns to a different philosophy.
Yeah.
So there's kind of like I don't know. I mean, there's just different philosophies of paganism out there, and so. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see if people do merge into one. So I haven't done one of these hangouts for such a long time. I've been
Yeah,
lazy.
yeah. It's kind of difficult because finding people YouTube and it's like out of the words, words algorithms
Hmm.
is really difficult to like find the actual videos you want. You get plenty of like, Trissa Paytas and everything else that you don't want to see on your home feed. So it's like it's
Hmm.
kind of difficult to train YouTube into like showing you the stuff that you want. So it's been a little bit difficult to find pagan channels. So
Well, one thing I've noticed is like if you watch somebody's video a couple of times, you'll see it kind of being recommended in your feed. So, and then if like let's say somebody talks about the tarot, for example, and you
mhm.
watch them, you'll see on your feed other people with that word in it. So
Mhm.
that's one way to kind of grow, branch out. Another thing that I do is like when I watch a video, I read through the comments and then I comment on that comment. Then I go, oh, I wonder if this person has a channel. And so I'll click on the right side and there's like three little dots, and you can go to their channel, or you can click their name, I think, if it's in the comment section, and you can go and see if they have a channel. Because a lot of the people in the comment section have channels.
Yeah,
So you can find other people that way, you know.
that works. That works. Yeah, have you had any have any people I'm assuming you don't like have a PO box. I was just curious. But like have you had any people send you weird stuff in the mail? Like
I don't have a PO box. I mean, I don't know. I don't what would people send me? I mean,
well I only ask because I've heard
bomb.
of like people,
Airborne diseases.
I mean, if it's gonna happen, there's no really ways. The powder falls all over you. You're kind of done for. So, but like I've heard of radical religious people sending weird stuff in the mail, just like the hate letters and stuff. So, hate comments exist, but like,
Well, it's funny. I mean, I get comments from people on my comment section, but it's nothing new, and I'm really disappointed. I feel
mhm.
like they should come at me with a different angle instead of
Oh
you're
God,
going to hell.
oh
It's
my
like
God,
that's what it all comes down to. It's like, I've heard that many, many times.
I
It's
mean,
not working.
you're gonna get a VIP like station in hell now, you know. I was watching some guy, black magician, I guess. He was going through like the different he was going through demonology and going through a
Was it
bunch of
EA
stuff.
coding?
I
EA
don't know. I think
quoting or whatever his name is.
no, it was like become a living god or whatever.
Yeah, that's EA quoting.
Oh, okay.
Whatever his name is.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, he's gonna steal your money.
Yeah, no, I
That's
noticed
what
that.
he's
I was like,
doing.
okay, the first 20 minutes was, okay, this is a demonology video that isn't, from a Christian perspective. This is actually going to be informative. And then through the entire video, I was just like, well, this is this is disappointing. But the comment section was hilarious because there was this one chick in there who was just like, the power of Lord Jesus Christ, and in all caps, and he will save your soul. And I'm just like, there's always one or like 10. Like, what do you think that's going to do? Do you think the breath of Jesus is gonna, come up through the comments and bless your face? Like shit.
Hmm.
But yeah,
Sorry, I'm
no,
just typing.
no, but
Yeah, there's a video that he did on his channel, and
mhm.
it's called like raising de morte or some. It's supposed to be some kind of a voodoo ritual done in a graveyard, and it is the fakest thing I've ever seen in my entire life.
Oh man, that's so disappointing.
He knows, he understands the occult, but he's out to make money, period.
That's
And that's
really
just what he does, and it's unfortunate, but there's a lot of people out there just to make money. And so I mean, I did a video on him. I can't really blame him too much because idiots are falling for it. It's like people are that gullible that they'll fall for it, and they'll hand over money, and they'll assume that he knows what he's talking about and assume that they're going to learn something from him. So it's kind of like the predator prey thing. It's like you can't really blame the predator when the prey is so stupid.
yeah.
Hey, Comedic, how's it going?
What's up, guys? Hi. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, I can hear you.
Beautiful, beautiful. I love my new phone.
Yeah, it looks good. It
Yeah, the
looks a
picture is
lot better
really
than it
nice.
used to.
Yeah, it's I used to be broadcasting in like 480, now it's like 1080. And it's just like, oh my God, SA, I love it.
Oh,
Now
awesome.
we can see all the wrinkles on your.
Yeah, I noticed that too. I'm like, I hit 30. I'm like, what the fuck happened?
It happens. That anti-aging's got to start quick.
Yeah, I was like, Jesus.
Yeah, but it's really funny because you'll get wrinkles. Like if you smile a lot, you'll get those smile wrinkles. So
Well,
those are the kind of
aren't you
wrinkles you
supposed to
want. You want
not
to
be
have
happy?
those joyful wrinkles. You don't
I
want to have the
know,
frown
right?
wrinkles.
Like, are you supposed to
Exactly.
not be happy or laugh or, I mean, just be my mom then, Jesus.
Hmm.
So, Amber, I don't think I've met you before. Is that what you wanted to be called? I'm so sorry. I missed your
Oh, no, no,
introduction.
it's totally good. Yeah, Amber's my real name, but like I go by Amber Says Nope. I mean, it's for public reference, But I believe I've heard you on one of the hangouts before that I listened to at work because I have nothing else to do. But I've loved hearing you guys talk about various things. Um, the various and large file, but um, but yeah, no, it's just nice to like see other people that are that just take so much pride and joy in what they do, and that they want to talk about issues that a lot of other people don't want to talk about because it's pagan community, and people who are talking about it are like very religious, and it's just stop.
just stop. Just
Yeah,
please stop.
exactly.
Good to get the other side sometimes.
Yeah. I think that's
Yeah.
the one good thing about most pagans is that almost all pagans hate dogma. It's like we're like naturally repulsed by it. So anytime anybody tries to wiggle their finger, we're just like, no, no,
No.
cut that out, right? Don't even think about it.
Well, like, it's I find that like a lot of pagan people have like been raised very religious. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I was raised extremely religious. Like I was homeschooled. I was like I literally lived under a rock until I was like 18 when I just left one day. So
Must have been
so
pretty cramped under that rock.
oh God, yes. Yeah, no. My mom was just like, yeah, you don't need any other socialization other than your siblings and, just this family. So we lived in a suburban neighborhood, but we weren't allowed outside. So yeah, it was that kind of religious experience, which was so fun and definitely did not leave me with emotional scars,
Oh,
But
welcome to the internet.
yes, the place for emotional scars.
Yeah. You better learn to put on that armor of God on here.
Oh God, yes.
The armor of God and
Oh my
the
God.
sword of whatever and the shield of whatever and the battle axe of whatever, and go charging in on their white horse ready for battle, and it's like,
Oh God.
wait a second,
Yeah.
who are we fighting? Where the hell are they?
Oh yeah,
We
no.
don't care.
I used to listen to that all the time. Like I said, my dad is a street preacher, and we'd sit down every week, and we'd go through, and he's very fond of listening to Dr. Walter Martin. That guy, like I've listened to a lot of his Dr. Walter Martin stuff, and like he usually on UFOs and stuff like that, but he was of the mind that any spirits are always going to be demons that are trying to like rip out your soul or eat your face or something. So it took me a while. It's actually like it took me a while to have like paranormal experiences to like figure out that maybe the people that were around me saying this kind of stuff weren't exactly correct about it. So thus began my journey into paganism. But yeah, I wanted to see if anybody had grand ideas on how to make our society more make it better at coexisting with everyone from different like backgrounds and of different religious or non-religious affiliations than it is, it's very hostile towards pagans, and that's not really talked about a whole lot. I'm seeing. So
Well, I don't know. Do you want to field that one, Comedic?
Well,
I have my opinion on it, but
well, I mean, I guess it would depend on where you're really getting your information from, because from my stand of view, I see a lot of attacks towards atheists, pagans, and all kinds of stuff, even in our legislation. So for me, I do see a lot of oppression and stuff. And one of the problems that I have seen is that there's been a lot of don't talk about politics, don't talk about religion, instead of teaching people how to talk about difficult subjects, being accepting of other sides of points of view without getting hostile and defensive. And unfortunately, that's human nature, but maybe that's one way we could improve and kind of learn and to come to understand each other. I don't know. But that's my point of view.
Yeah.
And I mean, I have a slightly different point of view. I feel,
which is important.
I feel like we've actually gained a lot of traction. I know it's like you have this window of your life to compare everything to and to interpret, and then other people who have lived through different time periods. Myself, we've been here for a while. You kind of you see how things have evolved and what it was like and what it is like now. you know, obviously during the 80s, there was a satanic panic, and, you know, people were
Yeah.
very scared about pagans. They believed that we were running around, you know, committing murders and orgies and all this crazy stuff. And, you know, there were people in the military who were serving in the military, and they weren't allowed to have their symbol on their gravestone. You know, um, there were laws that there were people who were like, you know, um, getting losing their children in a court custody battle because the father would come in and say, well, she's a witch and she does all these things, and she, you know, she does this weird stuff and she's not a good parent. And so there was a lot of real bigotry. And the reason why I say real bigotry is because it actually has an effect on you.
Right.
Nowadays, people get into microaggressions. Whatever. I'll take a microaggression over, you
Getting
know,
slapped and put in
yeah,
jail.
over some of the other stuff that I've
Oh,
seen.
yeah.
So, not to say that there's not strides. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying that at all. But I'm saying that we need to recognize where we've come and how, and the people who have got us here. There's a lot of people who we don't know about who got us to this point. You know, there's a lady who works with Circle Sanctuary. Oh crap, I forgot her name. Damn it, it's just escaped me. The hell's her name? But she was the one who helped to get the pentacle in the military onto the gravestones of a lot of the fallen veterans who were pagans. And so there's a lot of people who have worked towards where we are right now, and it's good to recognize that. But you know, yeah, we do have strives to go forward, but now I think it's more just these pockets, these fundamentalist pockets. And even I get Christians coming onto my channel saying, hey, you know, these guys are full of shit. I'm a Christian. I respect you. And, you know, I'm glad you do these videos and all this stuff. So there's a lot of Christians out there that, you know, they don't care. You know, they're like, okay,
Yeah.
they're off doing their own thing. We're off doing our own thing. They're not, you know, they're not like sacrificing cats and drinking blood and having orgies and doing all these
Only,
crazy things that we were accused of doing, you
only
know?
one of those things I could get behind, you know.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah,
Um,
we still have our detractors, but it's a lot better than, let's say, it was in the 80s. A lot better. So
yeah. I mean, we're not being burned at the stake anymore, and that's, you know, pretty ideal.
Selena Fox, that's who it was. Yeah, thank you, not Sorensen, Selena Fox. Yeah, well, the witch trials is also a very interesting period because I don't think there were any actual witches that were burned at the stake or hung in the gallows. There were people who were accused of it.
Are
There may
you
have been, you know, folk medicine, midwives, stuff like that that got thrown in there, and maybe people who still sort of practiced the old ways, but they didn't call it that. You know,
Well, it
nobody
depends
walked around
on,
like in the 16th century saying, "Hey, I'm a witch," because you'd
yeah.
get burned at the stake.
Well, like it depends on which event. I mean, Salem witch trials. There's very little evidence that any of the people executed were actual witches. It was more like mass hysteria.
Yeah.
During Scotland and Norway, no,
Well,
I think it was
Germany had
Norway.
a lot, but I think Scotland or Ireland had the very last witch trial. I think it was in Scotland.
didn't
It was Scotland.
Iceland have some too? Because they had like a memorial to them. It's like in a burning flame that's like on a mountain or something like that. I think I
That,
remember something like that.
that could be. That could be. I didn't know about that. That could be. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, like you know, microaggressions. I definitely. I think it's mostly because the group I'm involved in. I'm seeing a little more hostility towards it because it's a very religious family that I have.
You're gonna have people who, you know, who are not going to accept you for who you are,
Oh yeah.
and I've found that to be a blessing, to be quite honest, because I don't want people in my life who don't accept who I am. And you know, it's just for me, it's just kind of like it separates the wheat from the chaff. It's kind of like, okay, these are good people. I want to be with these people. Those people, fucking assholes. I don't want to ever deal with them. So it's just kind of like it's just like natural selection, you know.
Yeah.
You don't accept me, fine. You know, these people do. I'm gonna hang out with these people. Okay.
Well, like I did notice that there is like a major double standard in a you know, especially in like American culture where it's just like, yeah, so, you know, we're able to have, you know, crosses up on every corner. You know, I do understand that America is mostly most people identify as being Christian. Not so much anymore because it's rapidly decreasing, thank God. But it's more like, hey, you know, you can have your thing, but like you're not allowed to talk about it, or you know, when you do, it's, you know, we're gonna be offended, or you know, if you have any problems with our religion, or you say any, you know, if you say anything like, hey, I would appreciate if you didn't like make me deep throat your religion every time, you know, I come to your house or something, you know.
Mhm.
And it's more like, you know, they shudder back and they're like, oh, it's a Christian Holocaust. We're being so persecuted. That's the kind of behavior that like really bothers me. And I'm just like, first of all, I don't think you know what a Holocaust is. Secondly, just because somebody is like, hey, I would appreciate it if you know, kept the Christianity level to like a normal, respectful level instead of super in everybody's like face, you know.
Mhm.
This is just I guess the people I hang about, or you know, I'm related to, but like yeah.
Yeah, and it sounds like, yeah, it's kind of like you're almost like forced into that situation with them. And I think there's also a certain level of unacceptance, especially for young people when they start getting into witchcraft, because I think parents and other, you know, adults or people, older people around, they go, oh, they're going through a phase, you know. It's
Yes.
just they're rebelling, they're going through a phase. And yeah, I think that for some, it is kind of like a phase. It's kind of like, ooh, can I be dark and spooky and, you know, have a skull on my altar? And, you know, there is an element of that kind of thing, even in people who call themselves witches on YouTube.
Uh-huh.
But then there's the people who get into it and they're serious about it. And, you know, that's what they do, you know, and they're serious about it. They're not putting on an act. They're not like trying to spook people or make
Yeah.
money off people or whatever. They're seriously involved in it, and that's what they want to do with their time, and they're interested in it. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, well, like I did notice that there is a that the level of, you know, what I was talking about, like when I went out with Anana, she was just like, yeah, so you know, you're gonna grow out of this, you know, I just hope that you're not gonna die first, you know, because you're inviting Satan into your home. And I'm just like, I don't even believe in Satan, but okay, you
All right,
know.
so I'm going to tell you something, and I'm sure Lilokin is going to concur with me on this one. After 19 years as a witch, and however long Lilokin's been at it, I have never encountered Satan.
No. I mean, I yeah, no,
That's like when you're initiated into the 34th degree of
Oh,
the
is that what it
Illuminati.
is?
yeah,
Oh God, I'm not high enough in the Illuminati.
yeah, I know,
Yeah,
right?
you don't know the truth yet.
Yeah,
Oh, okay, okay.
we're not in the super secret, you know, little group, you know, just yet, you know. But
I gotta get
It's
on
so
secret,
secret
secret,
that we
secret.
can't even talk about the secret in secret. So
oh
it's
no.
pretty secret.
Is
Also,
that the one where you violate the goat and then sacrifice it?
right? And then you have goat tacos
What are
afterwards.
you
Like,
doing? You're gonna get in trouble.
we're gonna have like little, you know.
She's gonna get a knock on her door pretty soon.
I know, like a little fiery envelope, you know, just message from Satan.
She
um,
initiated me, dude. Clearly, I'm ready.
I know, right? Like me and my roommate, we're both she's less she practices less than I do, but like we're both pretty into it, and we're we've had like, you know, encounters and stuff in the apartment. We had to cleanse the apartment like 6 times. It was an ordeal. But we, you know, we ghost hunt in our in our spare time, we were joking the other day, is like, where can I sign up to be a demon? Because this sounds pretty awesome, this level of skill, you know? It's like, when you die, is there like an application we can fill out? Because like it sounds pretty awesome, you know?
You
But
have to
yeah,
fill out a questionnaire. Would you like to be a ghost, an apparition, a spirit, a poltergeist? How about a
I
moving
got
shadow?
I got accused of being the demon Beleth, and
Hmm.
the video was me just moving my hands, and I guess that's where I shapeshift. But then they showed like the image of this demon Beleth, and it looked pretty badass. I'm like, when do I get to be that? When do I turn into that thing? You
I
know, like
know,
I
right?
want the horns and the mask and the hounds of hell. Like, what the fuck?
I watched The Nun, and I'm you know, they're going through the castle, and the main characters are just dumb, and they're going through the castle, and I'm like, wait, so let me get this straight. Valak invited you into the castle. He decorated for you. Like there's blood and the decapitated Jesus statue over there. You know, he seems like a pretty chill dude. He has this awesome ass castle all to himself. You know, and then like within 10 minutes, you're already rooting for like the main characters to be murdered. You know.
You're just like, go Valak. Yeah, it happened to Krampus. Oh my god, I laughed so hard at Krampus. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, how is this scary? It was cracking me up.
I've
I was
seen
like,
weirder stuff in my dreams.
yeah.
But yeah, no, it's pretty funny and it's pretty laughable sometimes, like because yeah, like we consume all sorts of horror movies and yeah, the ones where the Catholic Church tries to exorcise, you know, demons out and it doesn't always work, and you know, it's like this big religious spiel at the end. You're just like, it would have been so much better if the demon just murdered you all, but okay. But you know. But yeah, no, there needs to be some that was the other thing that like Christians always tend to bring up, you know, that you know why are Christian exorcisms the most effective and stuff. I'm like, have you not seen, you know, from every other cultures there's some sort of ritual for getting evil spirits out of you, you know, and like yeah, it's just a willful ignorance, you know, and when you say that kind of stuff, it's just Satan speaking through you. And so it's just like it's a little
Oh my god.
difficult to like inform
That's
people.
right. That's right. Satan went back in time and created religions and ideas so that God could base Jesus off of. Because
Exactly.
that's what Satan does.
Well, I mean, he's
Exactly.
really
He has
quite
the
tricky
time.
because he's created everything. I mean, he planted the fossils, you know,
Yeah.
that
Oh,
archaeologists built up. He covered up the whole ark thing, you know, the flood of
Mhm.
the earth. The biggest one is making the earth appear to be round
Oh
and
yeah.
it's
even though it's
actually
flat,
flat. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
completely flat.
and this morning when you walk out of he's flattened your tire for you, you know, and on your way to church, so you're
Yep.
an hour late when you really just slept in. So
Yep. Exactly. And if you go to work, you know, he's there. He's there, you know,
oh
causing you
yeah,
problems, making your boss angry with you because you're late, you know.
yeah,
Sending his demons through the computers.
Yeah. I mean, if
exactly,
you
you
think
know.
about it, absolutely nothing you do is your fault. It's all Satan's fault. So,
I know, right? Like,
I mean,
wow.
His entire existence is just about tormenting you and fucking your day up.
yeah,
I,
exactly. I mean, you can't, it's really, if you think about it that way, it's kind of undeniable. I mean, because if Satan didn't exist, you'd be responsible for all that. And you can't do that. That's because you're a good Christian person.
yeah, I know,
He has
right?
a responsibility. Jeez, what do you think I am?
Um, I don't know if like you guys are, you know, have been religious or grew up religious or anything, but
I was very lucky. I didn't. I grew up in a home that I grew up in a single parent home, and my mother was she was very open about, you know, letting us explore whatever we want. We were Unitarian at most. I
mhm,
mean, we went to like one or two Unitarian churches when I was younger, and that was it. Towards the end of her life, she became more Catholic because she was originally Catholic, I believe. And so
mhm.
towards the end of her life, she became more Catholic, and I went to a couple of masses with her, and it was fun. There was one time I was sitting in church, and I had had my pentagram out, and the priest walked by, and he kind of like just looked at it and said, good to have you here. Kept going. And I was just like,
you have found the light, my son.
I'm like, wait, whoa! No, I'm not converting. I'm just with her. I'm good. Thank you.
You should have said yes, and then it would have covered you, putting having a black mass of your own in the cupboard next to the altar,
Oh, would you mind urinating on this wafer? No particular reason. Just defile it, please.
Can I have some of your fingernails,
At that point, you should have just slinked out of the church and snatched up some holy water.
I need this.
You're like, I need this.
Just snip off somebody's hair along the way. But yeah,
yes.
I literally have had the most fun being a witch that I've had in my entire life, because I go to the store. I have this lovely black cloak that I sometimes wear when I'm feeling a little bit witchy, And I go to the grocery store or something, and I'm getting weird looks, and there's just it's so funny because all you have to do is carry a little bit of colored powder in your pouch and just throw it at them if they're complaining about something.
Pixie dust.
I do that, except it's real powder.
Sorry, wall of protection salt. Yes.
No, they turn around and I'm up in their feet prints, just be like, fuck you,
Here's another flat tire for you.
I like powders. It's like I told Loken, it's like magic on the go. It's just if you need to mix up a little energy or bring a little bit of prosperity or something like that. I like having powders because it's just a little added oomph to whatever area you need it.
I haven't started using powders yet. I do a lot of candle magic, and sometimes I'll chop up the wax afterwards and save that for the same purposes that I was using the ritual for. And so I feel that has a lasting effect, especially because I live in a very haunted apartment complex. So you have to have that all over the place.
So I would disagree with that practice personally, but I know of a few people that are of that mindset. I prefer to dispose of all of my spell ingredients when I'm done with it. It's just my own personal thing. Don't be influenced by anything like that. If it works for you, it works for you. It's just I personally don't do that.
I will say I do love your crown though. I'm I need one of those. I actually thought it was your hair, and I'm like, how did you do that? And I realized it was your crown.
It's a wedding. It was a wedding gift, so I always wear them in my videos.
I did not get anything that cool when I got married. I'm jealous. I got a lot of blessings from Jesus, but nothing that cool.
Yeah, and apparently I committed my life to somebody else. But anyhow.
Yeah, that too. I mean, I also got married, But fuck him.
I didn't get anything for my wedding. I didn't get anything cool. Nothing I really wanted.
It was kind of funny because we didn't want to super want to get married at that time, kind of because our relatives wanted us to get married for religious reasons.
That was a shotgun wedding, huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you take this? You better.
Yeah, I know, right? Seriously.
You broke it. You bought it.
Yeah, really, exactly. Yep. You broke it.
Dude, the amount. Yeah.
Oh, I was going to say, speaking of that, I actually got into a debate recently with a Christian about women being property and why I don't agree with the Bible being a book of moral judgment. Oh, and I'm like, do you need specifics? And they're like, yes, because that sounds like a Muslim idea. And I was like, you're on, bitch,
Yeah.
I pointed to the 10 Commandments. I pointed to partial birth abortions. I pointed to Genesis, and I was just haven't heard back from them after that.
Well, I did something similar, except I put it on a canvas of all the the worst parts of the Bible, and I covered it in fake blood. It was an art piece of mine. I was really fun, but like I have problems with people. Personally, I don't think you can say you're a feminist and be, hold the Bible as some sort of like uh moral way of life. It just isn't. The Bible's extremely misogynistic. Like women are property. There's literally, if you get raped by a man, you have to marry him, and he basically buys you. It's just so disheartening, when they're just like,
And your
or my
father
my
can sell you into slavery, and you can only leave their master unless he refuses to breed you or feed you. Yeah.
it's
Yeah, I mean
Mr.
the Bible is very, in my opinion, it's very outdated. It's the same thing with the Quran.
yeah.
It's just very outdated. It just hasn't changed, and so it's like, you know, a lot of these things that are in this Bible pertain to people who lived thousands and thousands of years ago, and the world is just so very different from now,
Yeah.
or from then now. So, I mean, I don't know, but there's so many people who call themselves Christians. Whatever. I mean, there was a time where I just thought Christianity was stupid, and it should be wiped out and all that. And I don't think that way anymore. It's
Yeah.
if that's what they want to believe, then that's what they want to believe. But don't push it on me. Don't make my kids in school do anything. Don't determine what I can and cannot do, or who I can sleep with, or how I sleep with them.
Yeah.
As long as you keep your nose out of my business, I don't care what you believe.
Well,
Just
yeah.
and it goes both ways. I don't feel like I have the right to nose into their business. They can do whatever they want, as long as, again, it's just being respectful for each other, being respectful of people's beliefs and opinions and ideas, and understanding that we also have to live with one another, and just understand that, just be respectful.
Yeah, and I honestly think that people of that kind of religious nature is gonna be slowly be edged out. I mean, obviously more and more rapidly because like most young
I
people
agree. No,
don't
I
even
agree.
yeah, they don't even affiliate with any religious anything. They're mostly agnostic. And it's more like I'm kind of the same viewpoint. Personally, I think the world would be a whole lot better off without religion of any kind. But that's just my personal opinion, and I'm not gonna like, bash somebody unless they're harming somebody. Number one, either physically or mentally, you know then you're good. And I don't care, what you believe or how you believe it, as long as it's not harmful, you know.
Well, I'm going to disagree with that because I believe that religion can and has contributed a lot of art, a lot of
Mhm.
culture in general, and one could argue that religious indoctrination of any kind is harmful.
Mhm.
And I'm not talking just about Christian or anything else. Like, I follow an Egyptian-based path,
I
and
mean,
because of their
um,
religion, they were told they were the greatest. They had to conquer. So any kind of religious indoctrination can be harmful. The point is like Logan said, you just eventually have to come to accept that people are going to think differently than you, and you
yeah.
have to live with these people.
Yeah, I was totally not getting the Egyptian thing from your background. It is a lovely, like, it is very lovely, by the way. Like, yeah, yeah, I can immediately see what you're into. That's awesome. But yeah, no, I had a lot of fun. I personally, for me, it's for a book that's like been held over my life and dehumanizing me my entire life because I'm a woman and therefore a second class citizen according to like some religious sects. Um, but it's kind of therapy to like you know go through every nuance of what is wrong with well, the Bible's like what I'm doing right now and moving on to other religions, but like it's it's very, it's calming, and it's nice to find other people that have like kind of the same mindset, where it's just like, yeah, I had this trauma when I was, from a very religious household, and it's helpful to find other people, especially in the pagan community, that are just like, this is how you get, this is how you recover. This is how you go on and have a fruitful life. This is how you go on to help other people, instead of going out and trying to shove pamphlets in their face. And so that was
Yeah, I mean,
kind
I never felt indoctrinated, so I never felt like
of,
I had to rid myself of a certain mindset, because my beliefs have evolved. And so it was kind of like, because I was free to let my formulate my own opinion. I felt like there was nothing that I had to escape or cling to or purge myself of. But I
yeah.
have talked with other people who say the same thing that you're talking about here, Amber.
Mhm.
Sometimes, I don't know, maybe you can do something to purge yourself of that,
Yeah.
or to incorporate it, or to come to grips with it. I mean, somehow you have to reconcile it. And I don't know if it's a fast process. I don't know if it's a
Oh
slow
no,
process, but
very slow.
that's what I've seen other people go through. And it's just, I'm sure that at some point you just have to do that, because at some point you're going to have to let go of it and
Yeah.
separate yourself from it, so that you can continue on your path, and find out what it is that what you think about life and everything. I mean,
Yeah.
it's
And it's
Well,
not just, yeah.
if someone's gone through this, I can tell you it's a process that takes years, because I
Okay.
have come kind of from your point of view. I wasn't quite as religiously suppressed, but Jesus definitely played a role in my upbringing.
Mhm.
When I was 12, it kind of came to a head, and my grandma was like, "You need to talk to the preacher," and I was like, "Okay." And after that, we just really never talked about it, my faith or anything else after that.
Yeah.
But I think she kind of knew that I was pulling away from Jesus, and she loved me anyway. So I still had a good upbringing in
Yeah.
her home, but it wasn't as religiously oppressive as what you're going through. But there's still a process you have to pull away from. So I
Yeah.
burned a Bible. I did that. People are like, you're crazy and that's not healthy and you should be burning
Dude,
knowledge. And I'm like,
you're
yeah, but
so
fuck
good.
you and me. It's not
Yeah, but I mean, it
healthy.
is. It's like a purging ritual. You have to, like,
Yeah.
symbolically get over something, and I think that that's one way to do it. There was
Well, that's good.
Yeah, there was one book. I think it was a Paul Husson, Mastering Witchcraft. In the beginning, there's a little thing where you say the Lord's Prayer backwards, and I think you do burn something, or I mean, but there's a way that in that particular book, there was a way you could kind of like purge yourself of that if you felt like you needed to do it. I never felt the need to do it, because it just wasn't what I was brought up with. And there was also, I think, in the Satanic Bible, I think there's also kind of like the same thing, and kind of like a purging ritual, where you kind of like you do something where you kind of let go of it.
Yeah, that's kind of where I got it, or what I was pulling from, is I was always told that Satanists at the Black Mass burn Bibles. So, and I don't know if that was like Satanic Panic from the 80s pullover or whatever, or some kind of weird connection that I made, or I just heard it from something, then incorporated it with someone else. But that's kind of what I was pulling from, was like, hey, if you truly don't believe in this shit, time to let it go.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And that was the whole idea of burning the Bible for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there are like different degrees of how much like it has affected your life. And for me, it's still like affecting me a little bit, because I'm not really allowed to see my siblings all that much, because they're still in that household, and they're still, they're not really, they don't really feel like people at that point, when it was just the dichotomy of the household. But like when I was living there, I didn't really feel like a person. And so as soon
Mhm.
as I left, I was like, there's a world out there, to go and explore. And I think until, because I was always very close to my siblings until they kind of move out and they're kind of like, discovering life and how
Let
much
me ask
fun
you,
it
were you Amish? Because that's kind of the way you're making it sound.
is. You would think that, but no.
Because there's like a detachment that you're not allowed to see the siblings or your family when you're extradited from the Amish community. So I wasn't
Um,
sure.
it's very similar. Think that, but like we lived in a suburb in Sacramento, so like,
Hmm.
yeah.
Not exactly Amish country.
Okay.
No, no, which is like really weird, and we always dressed really weird too. So I guess kind of it weren't Mennonites, but it was kind of like a cross between like Judaism and Christianity is like
Hmm.
kind of what it is, where like two religions that don't really go together try to be
No, I
mashed
knew
together.
family like that because the mother and daughters would always wear like jean dresses down to their ankles and would never cut their hair.
Hmm.
But I mean, like they participated in modern society. They watched TV, especially like rated R movies, but they would be very quiet in terms of sexuality and exploring the body and
Oh
things of
God.
that nature.
God.
It was very odd. And they did extradite the oldest of the family, who
Hmm.
was gay. So
Oh yeah, I mean, I know that feeling. I'm also I'm married to a man, but very explorative, and my family just is not, all about isn't about that at all. So that's kind of a but like I said, it's kind of a journey. And what I was hoping to do with or try and get into the community because I wanted to be there and I don't know, maybe provide like some maybe a listening ear or something and just been let people know that it does get better because
Hmm.
there are a lot of people who are just their lives are kind of messed up and they've got a lot of like emotional trauma and stuff that they have to work through. It's
Yeah,
stuff
well,
like
you could do like a video series talking about your journey and how you came to where you are and some of
Mhm.
the stuff you've gone through. And there might be other
Yeah.
people out there who are looking to explore and maybe trying to figure out if other people are going through the same thing that you are. I mean, that's one of the great things about YouTube is you can talk about anything. And is eventually you're going to find people who enjoy what you're talking about, and they're going to start watching your videos and following you and
Yeah.
commenting back and then coming into hangouts and hanging out with you and chatting about it.
Yeah, see,
So
I've started like I've already talked about like the last day I went to church and what was the other one? Oh, religious oppression over the holidays,
mhm.
But yeah, I think that was the first video I made. But like yeah, I want to do more of those because that was like the main reason I like started making videos because it's just like, it's pretty difficult when like all of my family is Christian, like all of them, and they're not that easy to talk to about it. Like some of my bros, like my grandmother, she's pretty liberal Christian, but she's kind of still very fundamentalist. So it's a little difficult. But like it's nice to, be able to, thanks to the internet, we're able to, communicate ideas and,
Mhm.
you know. But yeah, I just I'm not too clear on like I'm still trying to figure out how to like deal with very hateful religious, that I get from especially like people online and they just like they want to debate and then it's just like no, we're not going to listen to anything you say and you're of Satan and I'm like, well, okay then,
Well,
and
the thing with debating Christians is it's kind of like if you take the Bible out of the equation, they don't have anything. you
mhm.
know so the only thing they can do is they can just keep arguing the Bible, and then you just sit there and you say, but what if the Bible's not right or incorrect or is written by man? And so it's kind of like you come to an impasse. So I
Mhm.
mean, I tried to be open and talk with Christians about things, and it got to that point. Is it the same thing? It's kind of like, okay, well, you believe that because of your Bible, but my point of view is, how do you know that the Bible is true? And and you could just start questioning, having all these questions from there. So it doesn't really go anywhere.
Yeah.
So if people want to debate you, that's what it's going to come down to. And in my experience, like, I'd much rather interact with Comedic. I mean, she has a wealth of knowledge and stuff that I don't know about, and I'd much rather talk to her because I feel like her and I are going to exchange ideas. She's going to introduce new concepts to me. I might introduce new concepts to her, and we can actually have a dialogue where we're listening to each other. Whereas if you're debating with somebody who's, their only argument is their book, and they're not really trying to learn about your beliefs, it's pointless. I mean, I don't mind learning about Christian beliefs. Like, why do they believe? I mean, how do they reconcile the things in the Bible? I'd really like to know that, but I never get to that point with Christians because all they want to do is just debate how wrong my religion is. And
I would agree. I would agree. It's always,
Yeah.
I will tell you, after every debate I've ever had, you're never going to change the mind of any Christian.
Yeah.
In public, they may go after whatever conversation you have, go to their private place and decide, holy fuck, they're right. But they will never admit that to you. And no person will ever do it, no matter what. I didn't even do it with Lilokin, because when I met him 5 years ago, I was still kind of like agnostic and still kind of into the idea of a God. And then, like, after speaking with him, I'm like, holy shit, I think he's right about this whole atheist thing. And I kind of looked more into it. And it wasn't until years later that I was able to come back and be like, hey, you know what? I think you're right. So that's the difference between a pagan talking to another pagan versus a pagan talking to a Christian.
Yeah. And I did notice, like, the people, especially Marilys, were like pouncing on the idea of converting me back and telling me that they had visions of me coming back to Jesus. And I'm like, well, great. I don't know what drugs are you on, but I kind of want some now. So, but
if you talk to yourself long enough, eventually something's going to answer back.
I know, right? Like, but they, I don't find the Bible to be valid at all, and they just can't get over that fact. Well, my Bible says, I mean, that's fantastic, but like,
your Bible says a lot of things, and not all of them are good, sir.
I mean, there's a lot of metaphor in the Bible if you read it that way. If you read it as an allegory, as a story, and parables, then you can kind of understand it. But some, and not all, but some Christians take every single thing in the Bible literally. And it's like, how can you have that much cognitive denial in things? I don't know. I mean, again, that's what they believe, and I mean, I don't know. I don't mind learning from Christians if I feel like there's an actual dialogue. But every time like I said earlier, every time I get into an actual debate, it comes down to them just trying to prove that my religion is wrong. So.
Yeah, and the thing that bothers me is that they're like, Christian morals should be held, this is just that people have.
You want to talk Christian morals?
I know people in America like have this like love affair with Christian morals, and it's just like, no, that's not how that works. And they try and take like the pro-choice or pro-life stance.
Okay, stop right there. Pro-life. Okay, Jesus. We're not talking Jesus. We're talking Jehovah here. We're talking Old Testament God. Said that if your wife was unfaithful, you could take her to the local priest and have an abortion performed.
Exactly.
And then you would stone her to death.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like you would just.
So what are Christian morals?
You think about it, like, you think a coat hanger is bad. I don't know what kind of tools they had back then. That seems
they didn't.
They didn't.
They didn't.
Yeah,
I mean, they had
dirt from it was dirt and ink and a curse that the guy said, and it'd be forced to the woman to be drank. And if she was guilty of adultery, her womb would discharge, and the baby would drop out.
Yeah. Well, there are recipes for inducing an abortion.
Well,
And I'm sure
talking about
I'm
what
sure
was
that they
described
knew,
in the Bible.
huh?
I was talking about what was described in the Bible.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm not talking about like real historical facts. I'm talking about the fairy tale.
oh, okay.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, that's okay.
For some people, it's hard to distinguish.
But I was talking about yeah, I don't know, whatever.
No, you're right. They did have like different herbs and stuff that they would use.
Yeah.
There was medical knowledge of some degree of plant life and whatnot.
I believe some native, especially like Native American tribes up in Canada, they had a it was like a certain root that they would eat that would get rid of unwanted pregnancies. I forget what it was called, but I read about it in Mrs. Mike, and then I researched because it was kind of cool. But like but
Well, the Greeks had one too. It actually went extinct because it worked so well.
That's kind of sad, but like funny at the same time. You know, it's kind of funny because my dad is of the mindset that Christians were the ones that gave women their rights, and I'm just like, well, like most people were Christians during the suffrage movement, and like it kind of makes sense that they were like all Christian, but like at the same time, it doesn't necessarily mean that it was the Christians that gave women their rights, because if that was the case, that would have happened like 2,000 years ago when the religion started. You know,
what rights did Christians give women?
like the right to vote or something in America is what he was saying, and I was like, no.
Women are property. They're not even allowed to speak to men. Like if I were to tell Loken, hey, this is what it should be. He's like, oh, no, I am the man and you are the woman and you will shut your pie hole. Because
I actually kind of like that. Can we bring that back? Because I want to just be able to say, you know what, Zabora, just shut the fuck up. You ain't got a penis, all right? Sit your ass back down.
those are women's rights in the Bible, and I mean, like, women are bargaining chips for their fathers to inter like more money for the family. Your dowry and all that gets paid to the husband, but there's also ones where he buys you, and if he rapes you, 50 shekels to your father because now you're damaged goods.
Oh shit! Not even 300.
This all sounds so lovely. Sign me up.
I know, right? We were actually gonna pay my dad like the equivalent of 300 shekels for a joke. We didn't end up doing that because we needed the money for rent, but it would have been hilarious.
Yeah,
is my video doing a weird thing, or is that just me?
You're wiggling a little bit.
Okay. It looks I'm looking at the feed and it looks a little weird on mine, but that could just be like my phone wigging out.
Well, are you holding your phone?
Yes.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Okay,
that's probably it.
Yeah.
So, hello, I am Trash.
Hi. I post too many memes, so that's why my name's Trash.
Oh, okay. So what do you want to be called?
You can just call me Sarah.
Okay.
Hi, Sarah.
Hello. I figured it out. My suffering's over.
So we were talking about upbringing. So be curious, what was your upbringing? Were you brought up Christian?
It was like this weird atheist Christian thing. It's really hard to explain. Everyone was like, yeah, we're Christian, everybody, but we're not going to go to church or anything. We're just going to live like atheists, basically.
We're atheists in denial.
Yeah. Okay.
It happens. It's more prevalent than you would think, because it's almost socially normal to be Christian.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Kind of
So it's okay not to go to church and not have anything to do with Jesus and be influenced by them in any sort of way, but you're still going to identify that, because to say you don't believe in God, you're like, oh, you're psycho.
Well,
You're
it's
crazy.
also that religion, especially like in the Christian religion specifically, it provides like some sort of security. So like, you feel like your
part of
life has
community.
meaning or you're part of something. And then after you die, you don't have to worry about like, oh no, what's going to happen after I die? And then, you become an atheist and stop giving a shit. So.
Fun.
But yeah, that's kind of I mean, because I was there. I was, still technically Christian, but I was just like not really practicing or going to church or anything like that. And I was just like, it was mostly because I didn't want to give up the security, and so it just takes. I find like a lot of people kind of just don't want to put in the extra effort for that. So.
Now, what kind of security do you mean?
Security in like knowing what's going to happen to you after you die,
Mm.
or, having somebody to talk to, the idea that there is an omnipresent, best friend on book and call that you can call at any time and it's always going to be there for you until you realize that that's complete fiction and then you have an existential crisis for like months.
Mm.
But yeah, but
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that really repulsed me away from that that from especially that Christian idea, because I don't think it's that easy, I don't think there's like life is just not that simple. There's not just like one easy answer and this is the truth and that's it, you know.
it
Um
really isn't.
yeah, I mean, I think that there's all kinds of different, I mean, if you ever take a religion of the world class or read about mythology, you find out that there's other cultures and they have different beliefs about how we came to be, what happens to us after we die. But all these various beliefs, and people have different beliefs in different things. And to say that, oh, well, this one is correct and the other ones are all false is, I don't know. You got to have some proof for that or something.
Yeah.
Because I don't think any of us really completely understand everything. And maybe there's nothing to understand.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just as simple as you are born, you die, and that's it.
Yeah.
It could be that. But
It's really what
it's
makes me
fun.
happy.
It's fun to explore and to speculate and to look and find out the answer for yourself.
Oh yeah. It's hella fun to be into witchcraft though. I will admit it's so fun.
So what exactly about practicing witchcraft do you enjoy?
I like green magic the best. That's my what appealed to me the most. And right now I'm not doing too much in that area. I'm trying to keep my plants alive. That's my main focus right now. But
Would you define green magic as just working with herbs?
working with
And
nature and trying to keep the balance of good and evil in nature and making sure that nothing comes to harm in nature. So when people go out of their way to like kill a plant or something, it hurts. It's always hurt, but now I know why, because I was supposed to be a green witch, I guess. But
Mhm.
but yeah, no, that's really where I, feel the most comfortable and where I really just feel at home at. And this is something I've never felt before. So it's really fun. I find I make little protection charms and a little love charm here and there, if want to have a romantic dinner with my husband or something.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I didn't mean to like put you on the spot.
Oh no, that's fine.
I was just curious about, because I mean, for myself, it's like it was kind of like a slow progression. Like I said, I went to school and I learned about other religions, and I started exploring other religions and mythology and stuff. And I started reading about like Greek mythology and Roman mythology. Then I read about Celtic mythology and Norse mythology, and I started learning about the Druids and the Celts and all this
That's
artwork and
funny.
these stories, and it was just like my imagination was just like on fire, and I was like, oh wow, this is exciting. I wanted to find out about the Druids, like what did they think about, you know, the afterlife, and what did they think about this, and you know, I started really getting into that, and then finding out more about the Druids, and the Druids, we don't have that much information about them.
No.
And so then I got into witchcraft, mainly because there was like a ritual framework that I could use.
Oh yeah.
And so I got into that, and I was very much into, you know, practicing the four major fire festivals and the four lesser fire festivals. And that's how I got into it. I got very much into the pagan side, the very specifically the Celtic pagan side of it. And then from there, tried to figure out, okay, so where's this witchcraft stuff come from? And then it got me into studying about magic and the occult, and then I got kind of like a wider and wider perspective of it all. And it was just like a constant journey of learning new stuff. And I'm still doing that. You know, I'm still finding out stuff, and a lot more stuff is like there's all these digital archives that come to and have been released onto the internet, and it's really fascinating, just all this
Oh
stuff.
yeah. Yeah, I think the most magic I've done or magic rituals I've done is for like banishing or for paranormal purposes. Because like for instance, I had an inhuman spirit in my apartment waiting for me when we moved in. And that thing was a bitch to get out. It was
Oh no.
yeah, no, it was not happy, but yeah, so I had to banish it into a drawing, and that was fun. But yeah, I did it with my friends, and you know, we felt like, you know, it was a fun experience, the banishing part, not the oppression part. That was not
So
fun.
I did
what
something
so
similar.
what was your indication that what you were experiencing was what you believed it to be? Like what did you call it? A poltergeist or
Oh,
apparition?
inhuman spirit.
An
First,
inhuman spirit. So
yeah,
so inhuman meaning it's not a human spirit?
not a human spirit.
Okay.
From what I
Kind of
can
like
tell,
malevolent or whatever.
malevolent spirits. I mean, there are like human spirits that are not friendly, who are malevolent, but
Okay, but I mean how do you know that?
so when it's mostly feelings and then behavioral patterns. So like when any human spirit is in contact with you, everything is just going to be, you're going to feel dread, you're going to feel fear, it's going to prey on your insecurities. You're going to feel depressed. You're going to feel sad. You're going to argue with those around you. You know, it's going to oppress you, you know, to try, and it feeds off your negative emotions and negative energy. So, and most human spirits don't do that unless they've been really bad people in their former life, you know.
Whatever it was sounded pretty nasty.
So
So
I actually want to just say something here real quick. I have done a little bit of investigation into the
Mhm.
paranormal kind of thing after my father died.
Mhm.
Um, and from my understanding, because I've never encountered a malevolent spirit, there are hot spots associated, and you didn't describe anything like that with inhuman spirits. Instead, what you have described is what it sounds like is a high exposure to electricity. It sounds like you may have some bad wiring, or possibly you're close to an electrical box. You may want to actually get like an EMF reader and see if you can scan and see where you can find any kind of exposed or bad wiring. I don't know your situation, but that's kind of what happens when you have like EMF sickness. You get this oppressive feeling. You can feel drained. You can feel attacked. You can feel
Mhm.
like you're being watched. So that's kind of what it sounds more like you're saying.
Well, like that's what we thought in the beginning, and we were doing research on like because we had found a couple of human spirits that we had like blessed out of the apartment, and they'd found their home somewhere else. But there were a ton of murders, and where we were a couple of years ago, there was the 3 or 4 homicides every week for a while because this was a drug and sex trafficking hotspot. Apparently, we found this out after we moved in. Thank you very much. um,
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, it's pretty
I
true.
know, awesome. And this inhuman spirit kept appearing to my roommate as a dark figure, and it would literally speak to her at night and stuff like that. And it did this thing where it kind of clouded my judgment, and also I constantly felt dazed and confused. Second fan, but I felt really confused all the time while I was at home, and we finally, once we rooted it out, everything was fine. Like we haven't had any sort of bad feelings at all. The home has been very quiet and very safe. So even though electrical could it be possible, I feel like it would still be going on if that was the case, just personally. But yeah, no, I've had a couple of different encounters with inhuman spirits, so I've grown accustomed to recognizing them on the spot. Where I used to live, there was this abandoned house where it was all burnt out in the inside, and the guy had committed suicide by dousing himself in gasoline and all of his belongings and setting himself on fire. And there was something there feeding on that anguish and just keeping that his spirit there and just feeding on the sadness and pain that he had felt before he committed suicide and during the his dying. And so it would try and get into my own house because it was like a couple of doors down. So
What do you believe these inhuman entities are?
I feel like they are created by the bad energies that are associated with like murders. I don't know exactly. I'm hypothesizing. I have a lot of more I've crap ton more research to do, and this is one of my hobbies that I absolutely love. That's why I eat up all kinds of demonology and try and figure out what from the all of the collaborative efforts of people to figure out what pieces make the most sense to me. So,
Well, it kind of sounds like a little bit like poltergeist type activity, which is more associated with teenagers and going through puberty, but it's
yes.
human projection. So is that what you're trying to say? Is like you believe that evil entity is just like a ball of negative human emotion that has become sentient?
I that's what it like it seems that's what I've found it to be like, about 70% of the time. The other part, I don't know. I've come across spirits where it's just like they're just so intelligent and just malevolent and just pure evil. And it's just like, yeah, I don't know how old or what, if you were a person formerly and you've now become inhuman due to your actions or, but it's really quite fascinating. I mean, it was annoying if it was in my own apartment, but like,
Well, I mean, I don't know. I've never experienced spirits, poltergeist, anything like that. There was a period where I thought I was, but it was actually just me fooling myself. I spent some time thinking about what would happen to us after we pass, after we die, and how many people have died, come and gone, and then people even believe there's some animals are spirits and all this stuff.
yeah.
So there would have to be, if when you die, for example, let's go along the theory that your spirit leaves your body.
Yeah.
So either your spirit leaves your body and it goes somewhere, or something happens to it. If it stays here, every inch, everywhere around us, there's energy of past beings that have been here.
Well,
If that's what you believe. I don't believe that. And other people, they don't, they do believe that, and that's fine. I mean, I respect their beliefs, if that's what they believe. But I'm always curious about why. I mean, how do you know that you're not fooling yourself?
Can I share a couple stories?
Say,
Like
say what?
Can I share a couple stories like related to this? Because like you said, like animal spirits.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you said how like this cat, and but she got outside and she was like killed by a coyote or something.
Mm-hmm.
And like me and like my friend, like when he was over, like we saw like this black like apparition just like in the bathroom, just like rolling around. It was so weird. Like both saw it like around the same time too. So like I don't know. Like I would like to believe, hey, ghosts aren't real, but like I've seen too many things.
Yeah, and that's what I find. Most people have seen ghosts or believe in ghosts have encountered. Like where I work, it's very high energy place, and I believe the spirits are attracted to how much energy and data processing is in there. But like, personally, hello.
Hey, Mo.
Hello.
Personally,
How are you?
I've found that when you die, I believe that some people want to stick around or they have some unfinished business or something and they want to keep an eye on their family or whatever it is before they move on to their next life. I mean, that makes the most sense to me. I don't know.
Well, I mean, as long as you're comfortable with your beliefs, that's the only thing that matters.
Yeah.
I'm kind of more like Loken. I haven't had really a lot of experience. I've only had really one thing happen that involved somebody else, and it was like this really white low shadow that was like coming right for me in the canyon in the middle of nowhere. So like, and my friend is the one who described it as I'm looking at it, and I'm like, holy fuck, I see that too. So but like that's an unexplained experience. I don't know if that was a spirit. It certainly wasn't human shaped. I would say it looked like a giant white wolf, like from Princess Mononoke. But that was an experience I had. I wouldn't say that it was involving spirits. Just like I saw a green light in the sky one time with my buddy Jordan, I wouldn't say that's an alien, but it was certainly an unidentified flying object, but what do I know?
I also think that like some people are more sensitive to others, like my husband, for example, he's not
Possibly.
sensitive to it at all. He literally did not understand what we were talking about, me and my roommate, when all of this activity started up. And he's like, I literally don't see it. I don't understand what you're talking about. He's atheist and doesn't believe anything anyway.
So I guess all right, let me rephrase the question.
Human brains are weird, man.
how would you okay, so like let's say it was, the light was kind of a little dark and you saw a figure or had a sense of whatever it is that you're experiencing. How would you know that what you're experiencing is an actual spirit rather than you just maybe seeing something that's sort of like your imagination tricks you for a second? That's what I'm wondering, like how you would distinguish those two.
Well, usually, the first time it happens, you usually can assume that nothing's happening, that it's just just something weird's happening, and you're fine. But like when some things that like knocking on walls, especially if it comes like in threes or in like fives, those are very specific knocks. If there's walking around or you see, like my roommate, she thought it was her boyfriend coming down the hallway. It was a black figure and it wasn't her boyfriend. Her boyfriend was in the bathroom at that time. She looked and then it suddenly wasn't there anymore. It literally dematerialized in front of her eyes, and I'm like, so time to get out the sage now. So
and what exactly does sage do? I mean, I know what it does, but I mean, how exactly do you think it I'm just I'm sorry, I'm just really skeptical about this because I don't believe in spirits, so I'm just curious about how do you rationalize it, I guess is what I'm asking.
well, like,
Oh, look, are you busting people's balls?
Yes, I am.
I'm totally good. Like he's totally, you know, asking questions.
But that's what
It's
I
totally good.
do. I mean, you
If you're
come onto
gonna
my channel, you
Exactly.
gotta
Like
know.
Lauren
yeah.
does not ask
And the whole
questions.
chat blew up
If
now.
you're gonna hold a belief, you got to be able to defend it. You know, I mean,
Exactly. So what I find is like maybe degrees of spirits. I was like there's human spirits and inhuman spirits. For most human spirits, sage quiets or like you know directs them out of a place that I've you know this is my sacred space. No ill-willing or spirit that means me harm or my pets is allowed to be here. This is a place of light,
But
and that
okay,
works for most human spirits.
okay. So I got a
Um,
question for you. Do you think it's the words and the words that you're putting forth, or do you think it's like the actual like? I mean, do you think that like, let's say you saw a spirit and you wanted to get rid of it and you burned sage without saying anything or doing anything else? Do you think the sage by itself is what causes it to happen, or do you think it's you like saying stuff that actually causes it to happen, or do you think it's a combination of both?
well, like sage is a cleansing herb. I mean, obviously,
Hmm.
all of you know this, but like,
Right.
for in my experience, by itself, it kind of just calms enough for you to get your thoughts together, especially if you're having trouble, like,
So maybe it calms you.
it calms you and it calms the area around so you can get what you need to say. I personally think audible spoken words are powerful too. You know, you want to light a light or dark candle or an anti-negativity candle or something, that's great. But I feel like you personally need to put your intentions into that in order for it to work how you want to. You know, otherwise it just goes off and it just does whatever the hell it wants. So, you know,
Hmm.
my personal experience and opinions. So,
Hmm. Yeah,
well,
I mean, it's okay.
uh, my
I'm like
husband, he
pushing and
happens
like
to be
having like
very
that
much.
intention in my head's enough. Like I
Oh,
stumble over my words a lot, so I just like if I have it in my head, like repeat it in my head enough, like I'm okay.
I didn't catch the beginning of that. What did you say? I am trash, or
Like you're
Sarah?
talking about like oh the combination of, like the words and the sage.
Hmm.
I kind of stumble over my words a lot, so like I would prefer to like keep that stuff in my mind. I like my brain a lot.
Hmm.
yeah, I do the same, but like if you write it down what you want to say and then say it aloud too. Medic, you had something you wanted to say. I was interested.
Oh, well, I was like to say, like, you know, my husband, he's the opposite of yours. He has all the experience, but you know, I don't.
Mhm.
'Cause he grew up on a tiny island in the South Pacific. There's a religious community, there's a belief in spirits. It could be like you said, it could be human projection into these spirits. Therefore, there are spirits, you know, but I have not had too many encounters, honest
Mhm.
encounters that I can say I don't have answers for. I've got like
Yeah.
maybe three.
So, out of curiosity, since Moat just joined us, what are your thoughts on this, Moat? Or actually, what do you like to be called?
Nah, you call me Moat.
Okay, all right, okay.
But basically, whatever works for you, man. I'm not too much of a religious person myself anymore. I you know,
Well, I'm just
I
curious.
believe.
What do you think about spirits? What is your personal belief on that?
Well, I think there's something out there that probably can be explained by science one day, but we don't know what it is yet.
Have you ever had any experience with it?
The anecdotal shit that, could be anything.
Hmm. Okay. And what's your theory about like after you die? Like, what do you think happens to you afterwards?
I try not to think about that. I got other shit to worry about.
Yeah, it's not a
Seriously
pleasant
now.
thing to think about. Yeah.
I'll worry about it when
I
I
got enough
die.
to worry about when I'm alive, so thank you.
But I mean, okay. Well, I guess what I meant, like, do you believe in an afterlife? Do you think you die and you go to like a heaven or a Elysian fields or whatever?
Oh,
Or do you think you reincarnate, or what do you think?
I'm open to the possibility of just about anything. I don't
Mhm.
think any of us really know, so.
Mhm. Oh, okay, so
But
you're kind of like a question. Like I don't know.
Well, I sort of agnostic, but open to the idea of there's being something else.
Okay.
Yeah,
I mean,
so
sounds like a pretty solid philosophy, honestly. You know, I mean, nobody really knows, and people that believe in ghosts have usually had the shit scared out of them a couple of times in order for like them to like finally believe into ghosts and of the like, you know, like I have and my roommate has, and you know,
I'm
most
like the
people
only
I know.
oh,
person
trust me,
not scared of ghosts.
thing
Huh?
is,
Yeah,
I honestly think there are probably ghosts, but I think there's probably a scientific explanation once we get advanced enough in technology to actually explain it, you know?
Okay. Sarah, what were you gonna say?
Like I'm really like not scared of ghosts. Like I'm here like all these like TV shows and like all these like people that's like, oh my god, the ghost is so scary. And I'm over here like seeing an apparition of a cat.
Mhm.
I'd like to see an apparition of a cat.
They're very cute.
Dude, like I would totally want an apparition of a cat versus like an inhuman spirit. Like hell, I feel like I got the raw end of the deal
Hey,
on that
I'll
one.
throw sage and garlic at it. I'll totally fight it. We'll trade.
Well, it's funny. Because back when the very first time I cast like a circle and called the quarters was really scary for me. Like it was kind of like I didn't know exactly what was going to happen because I was by myself and I was in, I had the house to myself and it was so unusual. And so I had an opportunity. I had like this window of opportunity to like actually like cast a circle and burn incense and follow this ritual. And so I did it, and it was kind of scary. There was like a little bit of like like, oh, what's going to happen, um, and I've had experiences like that, where I kind of overcame fear and experienced things and was wondering about it. And every time I stepped through that doorway and overcame the fear, and every time that I did that, I found out a little bit more about myself and what there's really nothing to be afraid of. And it's kind of like, so you keep saying that you experienced these things and you did this, but
Mhm.
I kind of get this sort of sense like you feel like I haven't. And I want you to know that that's not exactly true. I have had experiences where I was kind of like, what exactly is that? And over time, I discovered that these were fears that I was projecting out. They were either subconscious or conscious fears that I was pushing out, seeing that I was projecting. And when I actually went to go and look at these shadows, I realized that they were nothing but just shadows, and they weren't
So it
real.
wasn't a focused, non-terminal repeating phantasm?
No, but there was like this ectoplasm that
See,
really
I've
disgusting.
kind of had similar experiences.
Yeah.
I am probably horrific. I mean, like my obsession with the occult is probably 10 times that of most of you guys, because I want to believe more than anything. So much so that I am not as scared of ghosts. I run at ghosts, and that's the same experience that I had, like that Lilokin had when I
Mhm.
ran towards the ghosts. All I saw was shadows and, wind, and that was it. It was just all illusions and fears that I had. So I kind of agree with Lilokin. We all have different experiences that we don't always process the same way,
Yeah.
so I want to believe probably more than any of you guys, but I'm not going to just take a twig snapping in the wind as evidence that there's an afterlife.
Yeah,
That's
and
why I said, oh, go ahead. No, go ahead.
oh, sorry. Like I wasn't trying to insinuate that you haven't had these experiences. I mean,
Mhm.
how the hell would I know? I've had. I think the most damning thing that's ever happened to me is when I was sitting at work and I was rehearsing conversation out loud because anxiety. And after I finished, I heard somebody like right on like my right ear say, "Yeah, like whisper it into my ear, and I'm like, okay, that didn't come from my phone, didn't come from anywhere else. That was like literally right behind. There's nobody there. There's nobody in the building. So it's just like, yeah, that was kind of a hard, pill to find any rational explanation for,
Yeah, hard to explain away. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting. It's just, I just tend to kind of just shy away from that. I know that in especially the pagan community on YouTube, there's a lot of people that get into that, and I don't know. I mean, it's just there's a lot of different beliefs on YouTube, and I tend to be very, very skeptical on my end of the spectrum.
I mean, to each his own, like
good.
Wait, you mean those rocks weren't painted with a Sharpie?
Right.
Yeah, right?
Or painted with a fingernail polish or whatever it was.
I know, right?
And it's also kind of like the nature of the stuff. I almost have to be so skeptical because of all the nonsense I have to go through.
Yeah, no. I totally understand. I know that some people kind of just would rather not like entertain the idea, and I'm not saying that you're anyone here, you are doing it at all, but like I know that some people would rather not entertain that entertain
they would not what?
I totally like slurred through my sentence there for like no reason. So, but some people would rather not entertain the idea of something paranormal because it's really weird. And like, I don't think anybody really knows, what exactly is happening. Oh no, dogs, stop it. Sorry. My pets decided to.
I thought maybe you were attacked by a poltergeist.
Oh my God. Broke her pet.
Your skepticism broke my pets.
My dog ran over to see if your dog was okay.
He's okay. He just decided to get too close to my cat. But yeah, no, I find that it's really what people like want to explore, or what they've seen in life. Like my husband, I don't think I'm ever gonna convince him that ghosts are real. Even if something like levitates in front of him, he'll be like, "There's a logical explanation somewhere."
Well, so, I mean, I think maybe that's what led me to being so skeptical, because I wanted to find out, and I thought about it, and I was trying to think about, what would happen to us, tried to like rationalize it and think about it. And you do kind of like, you do have experiences that you can't really explain. And those are the ones that stick with you.
Yeah.
It's kind of like you don't exactly understand how that happened, but it happened. And I mean, I've experienced that with magic. That's why I believe that magic is real, and it works, because I've experienced things that I just can't explain away. Other people, they would say, "Oh, well, that's just a coincidence." And it's like, well, yeah, but this is a coincidence and this is a coincidence. And so there are some things you just can't explain.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
This is the way I look at it. Like, let's say you have 100 possibilities for something happening. If you eliminate this one, and you eliminate that one, you eliminate this one, and you go all the way down the line, and you've eliminated all of these possibilities, and you're left with, I don't know, then that's something right there. But you've actually rationalized it. You thought about it, and okay, this is a real experience. This I can hold on to. All this other stuff, that was just a shadow. That was just a bump. That was the neighbor. That was an animal outside. That was a this. That was a that. And if you've done that and you've explained all of those things away, what you're left with is a real experience, and that you can hold on to.
Exactly. And like, I do have to be like super careful. Anybody who like tries to like go ghost hunting or do anything, or like figure out what's going on in their home, you do have to be very careful not to psych yourself out, because that can happen. And I must say it's happened to me quite a bit. But like, you have to go and you have to calm yourself down firstly, so you don't have a panic attack.
I used to do the ghost hunting thing back before it was before it was cool, and yeah, all we ended up doing was just scaring the shit out of each other.
Yeah,
That's the fun of it.
no, right? Like,
I agree that was fun, but still, all it
you have
was
to go like
we were just
high as
spooking
fuck,
each other.
Right, exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
My old high school was built on like this like Indian burial ground, and sometimes my friends would like leave the football games early and like just walk
Everything
around
was
campus
built
and
in a
just
fucking Indian burial ground.
Seriously,
So
though.
sick of hearing that.
Oh my god. It's like the most overused trope ever.
so that's like the perfect environment to go like a bunch of high schoolers go scare each other to death on the campus.
Yeah, that no, if there's anything that's been overused other than, a witch is communicating with Satan, it's the Indian fucking burial ground.
Our mascot
Sorry, Trash.
was
I just
Native American.
Okay, Native American. There you go.
It's just, that's like the
Native
plot of so many
American.
movies and so many books, and it's like,
Oh, Jesus.
oh well, it was an Indian burial ground. It's like,
Sure it was.
when was it not an
I
Indian
know,
burial
right?
ground?
Like, seriously. And things with,
Sorry,
like,
but that's
cemeteries
the
and-
story.
Dude, like, okay, if we're gonna be on, most of civilization is probably built on some sort of like burial ground of some sort. I mean, logistically,
exactly.
obviously.
Yeah.
Look at
So,
London.
Yeah, if you think about the numbers of people who have died
Yeah,
since
exactly.
the dawn of humanity, I mean,
You really
since
can't
what
worry.
creatures have been walking the earth, and I mean, and exactly when did we develop a spirit? Did we develop a spirit after we were in the primordial ooze? Is that when we developed a spirit, or did we develop a spirit after we left the water and became mammals, or when we left the sub-Saharan Africa desert and started to walk upright? Is that when we developed spirits? So it's kind of like,
I know what it is. We developed spirits as soon as like we did, the first witch did a ritual to Satan and that got possessed, and then spirits were born.
No
on
such
an
thing
Indian
as spirits.
burial
They're all
Okay, we
demons.
need to give Bill Snoblin our credit card information right now. He's gonna save us from all these East Coast.
No, they're all interdimensional demons.
I caught. My dad watches Alex Jones unironically. Save
Oh my
me.
God.
No, my dad does that too. It's embarrassing.
Oh my God.
I love talking evolution with creationists. I mean,
Oh
like,
my God. Yes.
The virgin
my dad would see
creationist
the
versus
latest-
the Chad evolutionist.
My dad would be like watching the latest Alex Jones thing. He'd like text me going, "Oh my God, did you hear this? What the government's doing now?" I'm like, "Oh my God, Dad, give it a rest."
is it the FEMA camps?
Are we long lost
FEMA
siblings?
camps.
Hillary are demons that intergalactic demons that are out to like control us. And I'm like, well, okay, if this is happening, the hell are you think you're gonna do about it? Like shit.
Reptilians are breeding us for food.
Like there's lizard people running the world. Well, I guess we're all fucked then.
Well, that's what you find out, after you once you get to the very top and you're in the Illuminati, they break it all down for you. There's it's the reptilian, transvestite, alien, hybrid Nephilim that
So,
are trying to create a one world government and a one world religion and turn us all into was it andronicrin, whatever thing they believe that adrenochrome, yes, and they're going to turn us into adrenochrome farms, and they're just going to sit around and get high, and that's the ultimate goal of this one world conspiracy.
Amber, remember, because we're white, we all have to sacrifice and eat black babies so we can obtain magic.
All right, then. That's
what the Illuminati does.
I guess that's start the line.
By the way, Logan, was your Illuminati check late because of the government shutdown?
Yeah, it was.
Yes.
It was.
Mine was.
Why was yours late too?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Who,
I mean,
Maybe
I'm
don't
not,
look babies as
I'm
much.
not shilling for the Illuminati online unless they keep paying me. You know.
I know who here is
Yeah, you
under
gotta
the
pay
big
rent,
pharma
right?
plan?
Exactly.
Like, who here is getting checks from big pharma? Raise your hand. You know.
Well, big pharma, Illuminati, same thing.
Yeah, fake news. You know, the media.
I mean,
CNN.
they're not turning the frogs gay for free. I mean,
I
come
know,
on.
right?
Oh my
Right?
No.
guys, I have a funny story. Oh my god. Because I have a buddy. Unfortunately, his parents are Jehovah's Witness. Oh my god, I feel so
Oh
sorry for the kids.
God, they're the worst.
And so these meetings make him feel like garbage. So I thought, okay, I'll sneak into one for moral support. The pastor goes on, the Me Too movement's gonna kill us all. The gays are here. The end is nigh.
Yes.
Well, there's like some kind of a conspiracy on YouTube about trans agenda or all these actors and all these
Transvestigation.
Thank you. That's what it.
Oh,
I haven't
right.
even began to crack that nut.
Oh
But
God, the Armored Skeptics series on that is hilarious.
Investigated.
Yeah.
well, that's who I actually heard
Heard
it from was from June.
Yeah, I saw your comment.
Yeah.
Oh, she was funny.
Yeah.
Dude, I mean, honestly, when they say, the gay agenda and they're gonna, paint the White House pink and, or whatever, and they're
Every time someone says
What?
gay agenda, oh my god! Every time someone says gay agenda, I just think of like gay guys in matching pumps and Prada bags, jumping through the American like window and ruining fucking dinner.
Yes.
I mean, like that's
Okay, guys.
just pushing that gay agenda in the American dinner family face,
Guys,
I literally
if the GSA makes a list, is that a gay agenda?
They're gonna be dancing on the table on going. You hear the techno music going.
Oh, yes. There's penis glitter everywhere.
Yeah, unicorns and glitter just sprouting out of assholes, like.
Me and my friends have already decided when we die, we want to be cremated and put penis glitter in our things, be shot over Westboro Baptist Church,
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Oh my God, yes, I'm so looking forward to my death now, That'd be awesome.
That's a glorious way to go out. Why didn't I think of that?
I know, right?
Well, you still got time, hopefully.
Yeah, I'm gonna raise one last fuck you to Jesus. Why not?
I don't know. I think Kevin Smith is saving them one at a time.
To be honest, the more I read about Satanism, the more I think, fuck, maybe I should have been a Satanist.
I know, right? Okay, that's what I thought. And I'm like, you know what? As soon as I can afford the dues to be a part of the Church of Satan, then I'll do it, But
I haven't even read the Bible, their satanic Bible. I know very, very little except from what I've learned about talking to other Satanists. But it's like, the more I learn, I'm like, fuck, I should have been a Satanist. I don't want to be a Satanist. I identify as Kemetic, but it's just...
Well, the ones I've met just be a jerk.
Well, from what I can understand, the Leviathan Satanists are a bunch of atheists that mock religion and then do charity shit to outdo Christian organizations. Well, their entire thing is to expose how hypocritic, whatever the word is for that, but
Critical?
And corrupt, hypocritical. Yeah, sorry, my brain.
When will the Church of Satan go after the Latter-day Saints?
Oh my God!
Ideally, that's how it is. But
I'm down for all of that, dude. Let's burn the fucking Bible. I mean, we've already
on
done
top of it, burn those too.
Ideally, that's how it is. I've known a lot of the Levans that just do it to be jerks. They just use it as an excuse to be an asshole.
I mean, it depends on who's being an asshole too.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm sure there's people who are Satanists who are assholes, and then there's, some of the ones that I've met are decent people. You know? It's just, I don't know. I don't know. I had a friend of mine when I first heard about the Church of Satan. He introduced me to it. This was back in the 80s. No, this was in the 90s. And he was a member of the Church of Satan. He was telling me about it. And, I was still kind of in that sort of, I was still there was a concept of black magic and good magic, and so there was still kind of like this concept in my mind of these things, and so I immediately associated with like black magic and completely wrote it off, and it was actually kind of rude with this guy, and I feel bad about it now later on, because that was my perspective of the Church of Satan back then. You know, but it was also, that was kind of like the way that the culture was at the time, because there was again, this is around the time of the Satanic Panic, and there was Amber, which, you know, we have the Amber Alerts now.
Oh yeah.
But this was actually the girl's name was Amber.
Mm-hmm.
She was kidnapped, and people were saying that it was witches, and then they said, oh, it was Satanists who did it, and this was like a big rumor that was going around the pagan community that Satanists had abducted this girl.
Oh,
And of course, Anton
where I was
LaVey
from.
was, and Anton LaVey actually worked with the San Francisco Police Department as a photographer. So he was working with the police. So the police knew that they weren't involved, but it was the pagan community that was still kind of, wasn't accepting, and still kind of believed that, Satanists were doing stuff like this. So I felt bad about it at the time. But Satanists they're just like anybody else.
yeah. Well, if you think about it, it's already too much effort to go to church. I mean, it would be way too much effort to go into the woods with the suckling pig and slaughter it and then put it all over yourself. It's like, and summon Satan. You think about it, it's way too much fucking effort.
So they put on their goat hooves one at a time.
Oh,
Yeah, right,
God.
exactly. They put their goat hooves on one at a time, just like the rest
It's
of us.
already hard enough to walk in heels. Like, come on. Hey, you guys, it's been fucking awesome talking with you. I do have to go to bed because I have to wake up at 5 a.m. But like, I would
Yeah, it's
be down
11.
to do this again. You, you guys have a fantastic day, and I wish you guys the best. Go ahead and text or message me if you want to do this again. But yeah, thank you so much for like having me on.
Okay, Amber, and just so people know, what's your channel again?
Oh, it's Amber Says Nope, and
Amber
I
Says
do
Nope.
have an Instagram of that name too. So
Okay, well, say something in the chat so people can click click the 3 dots there on the right hand side and go to your channel and check it out. So be sure to do that before you take off.
Yeah, hold on.
All right. Well, it was fun hanging out, Amber. I'm glad we did this.
Yeah, you too.
All right.
Bye.
Yeah. So she actually contacted me on Twitter a while ago, and she was thinking about starting up a channel, and so I was like, oh yeah, why don't you start up a channel? And so, what was it, like maybe a week later or something, I got these notifications for, like, how you get notifications when people upload videos. I got like 5 or 6 of them in a row. And on her channel, she had like uploaded about 5 or 6 videos all like within a certain space of time. And I was like, who the hell is this person? I've never, and I didn't know I had just subbed her channel.
I wish I had that much freaking drive to make content for my channel.
It's hard sometimes. I've been in a real dry spell for like since November. I've just been like, like just the bottom of the barrel, just scraping it, just going, can I make a video out of this?
I've got the exact opposite problem. I got so much going on right now. I got so many new projects. I'm just like, oh my God, just stop already. Fuck.
Yeah. Well, one thing I want to do, and I kept promising people, and I've been feeling bad about it, but I've been trying to do it, is I do want to start up the classes on the Western occult tradition that people can actually join and learn about. And that's actually what I've been working on, and trying to get that off the ground and how to do it and stuff. So I'm working on that. But just video wise, it's just, I mean, I've got the same thing. I've got like all these backlogs of videos that I want to do, but just like doing the scripts for them, and it just seems like a lot of work lately. But
hey, at least you don't have a 3 to midnight schedule with work.
Well, you know what I missed that you used to do is you used to do the the debunkings on some of the people. Like you guys, you would just pop up a video with a couple of us on and do a debunking. I miss those kinds of videos where you just
Oh, you mean the live debunks?
yeah, it may not have been like a live video, but you would we would discuss what they said, and I miss those kinds of things too.
Oh.
The lessons sound really good though. So if
Mhm.
you ever get bored and just want to make a video and update the content, I'm always down to make fun of a Christian, you know.
Okay, so what are you
Lame.
talking? Are you talking about like when we watch a video, like in
Yeah,
this hangout?
yeah,
Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, well those, yeah, I could probably do those again.
I'd like to see Heathen Haven come back.
yeah. I missed Heathen Haven.
Yeah. Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what to do about that. I mean, it was I like Loki's Witch and I like Dorian. You know, yeah, well, we'll have to see about that. I mean, I kind of enjoyed it too, but I don't know. I mean, it was some personal, not really personal stuff, but I mean, it was just, you know, everybody has to contribute, you know, and so yeah, we'll see what happens with it. You know, I haven't checked in with them for a while, but that was because that was Sunday nights, and so maybe yeah, we'll see what happens with it.
Okay.
Could I be more vague? I don't know. Was that vague enough? Should I have been more?
God,
No,
vague?
just a
lagging.
little bit more vagueness there.
Well, I mean, like even if it's not anything planned, you know, even just doing hey, come watch this video I found. It's really funny. Let's talk about the stupid shit he says. You know,
Yeah.
like I'm okay with that kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, videos like that are fun, and yeah, I should do that. I should do that more often because I tend to find some of these videos where I have to like do research and stuff like that. And I mean, at this point, I'm getting to the point where it's like, you know, I keep giving this information to people. I show them the truth, basically. I show them how they're full of shit. And they completely twist reality. Like David Carrico, he has to create a fake organization to say that this fake organization, this is what they believe. And it's like,
We just talked
how?
about this.
There's that one witch. We know who he is.
But like we just talked about this with Amber, you know, they're never going to admit that they're wrong. So there's only so long you can circle the drain hole. Why don't we just come back and just be like, ha ha, ha ha, ha ha.
Nah, I just like watching Through the Black, and there's just so much stuff you could just make fun of right there.
Oh my God, that dude is wackadoodle.
Yeah,
Both of them are.
he's losing it now. He wants to take his channel in the direction of music, and I don't know. I don't know. He's kind of scaring me. I think he's losing it.
And the way he has his microphone bugs the shit out of me. He has like the microphone holder holding a microphone stand with the microphone attached, and it bugs the shit out of me.
It's kind of like, just take the legs off, man.
I always love how he never has any information but he can prove everything.
Right.
Oh,
Exactly.
I just know it's true.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, in his defense, he's got painted rocks. So
He never found those. He just said he had them.
they were doing a ritual in the parking lot.
Oh, yeah, the
Zamora.
death scorts.
Yes. I mean, didn't you see those people? Didn't you see those three women? Three women, okay? They were wearing yellow vests at an abortion clinic as traffic is going by, and they're directing people. I mean, that's an obvious witchcraft ritual.
It looked like they were just having a smoke break or something.
Yeah, I thought one of them was having a smoke break. I mean, I thought one of them was like, maybe they were summoning Satan. I mean, like in some Caribbean religion, tobacco could be an offering. Logan could have a valid point.
Well, I didn't see him smoking, but those were, if you go to the website, there's a term for those people. They're like they're called something, but what they do is they're there for, like, so when somebody comes to Planned Parenthood, those people kind of guide them in and keep those crazy whack jobs off to the side to leave them alone. And that's their job. Their job is to be out there to
like
help
security.
Right, exactly. They're like security. That's their job. That's why they wear
Where
those
do I
bright
stand
yellow
up?
vests. So when he was saying that it was a witchcraft ritual, I was just like,
You're just standing there.
what?
It's like those guys who stood around in that one video, the proof of witchcraft. You showed it, and you're like, when you have ritual, there's purpose, and then you have this loose affiliation of people just standing next to this statue. That's not a ritual.
Right.
There's no
Exactly.
purpose.
No, it's like the whole gang stalking thing. There's this one video. This guy passes by this kid and goes, "Hey, how much are paying you the gang stalk?" And in the video description, he's saying that this kid is harassing him. No, the guy's harassing the kid.
What the hell?
Right?
What
Yeah,
are
that's
they doing to get born to the human race?
No, I'm just a visitor to this planet. Humans suck.
Yeah, remember we're alien people, lizards.
Oh yeah.
Well, I think I am gonna wrap this up because I started around 9:15 or so, and it's almost 11:15 right now. But it was
Jesus.
fun. It was fun hanging out. I missed this, but I gotta get. I like your ideas, Zabora. I'll see if I can do this again sometime, and maybe we can watch a video. That'll be fun.
Yeah, I mean, no rush, whatever. Thanks for having me on. I'll talk to you guys later. Senati.
All right,
All
nice
right.
chatting
Good
with you
night.
guys.
All right. Good night, all. Take care.